Welcome to Doll Killer, the podcast where we smash stereotypes, rewrite the rules, and speak our truth out loud. I'm Cécile Delepierre, and in each episode, I bring you bold conversations with women and men who refuse to live inside the dollhouse that society built for us. This isn't just another podcast. It's a rebellion against the boxes we are placed in, the rules we play by, and the roles we are given. Now say it with me. I'm not a doll. I don't play small.
I'm not a doll, I don't play small. I'm not a doll, don't box me in. I'm not a doll, I own my voice. Je suis doll killer.
Before I introduce myself and the podcast, I want to emphasize something that matters deeply to me. This podcast is not a reckoning. It is not a trial, and no one is on the stand. This is a place for healing, for truth, for liberation and transmutation, so that the weight of the past is not carried into the generations to come. And yes, despite its name, Doll Killer, we're not here to kill anyone. What we are doing is saying no. No to being boxed in, no to being played with, no to being silenced, because we are not dolls. On this introduction episode, I would like to share some of the boxes that I grew up in, but I won't reveal all at once. The Be a Good Girl box. I grew up in the land of Provence, in France, in a home heavy with silence, with family secrets and unspoken abuse. What wounded me the most wasn't only what happened behind closed doors, and I will tell that story in time, but the silence that wrapped around it. That silence was suffocating. It was violent. It taught me that it is safer to be quiet, small, and it taught me to disappear into obedience. I learned early on that being a good girl meant keeping the peace in the house, pleasing everyone, my parents, my teachers, my friends. It meant fitting in, following rules, never making waves. In my generation, born in the 70s, like many other generations before, children were trained to be silent, obedient, disciplined. Don't interrupt, don't talk back, don't say no. The cost of defiance was rejection, shame, threats, or punishments. So I kept my mouth shut, shrank myself down, and carried the role of peacemaker, always smoothing over conflicts, always making sure everyone else was comfortable, even if I wasn't. I was playing the role of the happy, jolly clown of the family until it stopped to be funny. The never say no box. I never learned how to say no. I didn't even know what boundaries meant. The very idea of them was foreign. When I expressed strong emotions, I was dismissed. Too sensitive, too fragile, too emotional. The baby of 4 labeled as a crybaby. Shame for feeling. That became my box. Boxed in, boxed up, voiceless. Like a doll. A doll to be played with. A doll to be used and abused behind the thick walls of family silence. But silence no longer owns me. The doll has broken her box. I'm not a victim anymore. I am taking back my story. I am transforming it into truth with others and myself. The body shaming box. From early on, I perceived my body as a damaged dollhouse. Inside and outside the home, there was body shaming and comparison. I never learned to see my body as a sacred temple. It felt like a shape to be controlled, a box to fit into. At 13, my sister and I were put on juicing diets, long before we even understood what our bodies were becoming. When stretch marks appeared on my thighs, I was horrified. I felt broken, cracked, ugly. I hid myself in shame. My body felt like another box where I didn't belong. And when returning from a 1-year exchange program in the US, I had gained a lot of weight. My nickname became Bubulina, which means meatball or big ball. Not really helpful for self-love and self-confidence, I would say. But strangely enough, throughout my education, I was always supported, always encouraged to choose my own path, to travel the world, to become an artist, to embrace what made me different, and most importantly, to never conform to society's rules, but to carve out my own way, to stand up for myself. I was actually a very rebellious little girl, and to stand as a self-made woman. And that, despite a broken childhood, has been the greatest gift I have ever inherited. Breaking away from that generational silence, that inherited obedience, has been the hardest work of my life. But it is also my first true rebellion, the beginning of my voice. I have always struggled with boundaries, with saying no, with being my full self without fear of rejection. But this podcast, this act of speaking into the void and letting my voice be heard, is me breaking the cycle. And I want it to be a space for others who've also lived inside boxes and who are ready to break out. I carried my search for a voice into acting, into dance, into theater and film. On stage and behind the camera, I was learning to tell stories, sometimes my own, sometimes those of others, but always stories that needed to breathe. In 2008 in Paris, I wrote, directed, and starred in my first short film. I called it Doll Killer. It was a martial arts comedy, wild and unexpected. At the time, I didn't understand the full weight of that name. But it was my directorial debut, and in its own way, it was my first attempt at smashing expectations. More than a film, it became a collective of artists who joined talents, thinking outside the box to create and inspire each other. Doll Killer gave me the wings I needed to fly out of my uncomfortable and tight nest, to smash the box I was stuck in. From there, I created Doll Killer Films and carried it with me across continents: Paris, Toronto, Los Angeles, New York. Through different art forms, I explored stories of resilience, survival, and rebirth. And now, more than 15 years later, Doll Killer comes full circle. Not as a film this time, but as a podcast. And this is just a start. Doll Killer will carry more projects and creations in the future. I am sure of that. This show is for the women and men who've lived inside cages. Cages built by families, by society, or by their own fears. It is for those who were told to be quiet, to be good, to be small. For the rebels, the truth tellers, the survivors, and the rule breakers. It is for everyone ready to smash the box that was never theirs to begin with. Doll Killer is about empowerment across gender, generations, and culture, but not the cliché kind. We're talking real, raw, sometimes uncomfortable conversations about smashing the box, break free from stereotypes, limitations, and outdated narratives, taking up space, own your power, your presence, and your place in the world without apology. Reclaiming your voice, speak truth, amplify stories, and refuse to be silenced. We'll laugh, we'll cry, and we'll call out the bullshit along the way. In each episode, I will have a powerful guest who's smashed their own dollhouse, questions that go deeper than the surface, a quick fire round that reveals the rebellious side of our guests, and always our signature question: what dollhouse are you smashing today? So, if you've ever felt boxed in, silenced, or underestimated, this show is for you. Subscribe now, share this with the people in your life who are ready to break free and join the rebellion. My name is Cécile Delepierre. I'm a filmmaker and storyteller, but most importantly, je suis doll killer. Thank you for listening, caring, and sharing. Stay tuned for the first episode coming very soon with a very special guest, my own sister, Marie Delepierre.
I'm not a doll, I don't play small.